darkness to bring that light, the light that we all believe in. And if it were not for him, I don't know if we would have come out of that alive. And Flamekeeper Sheila, the other member of the Uriel's trio, she comes forward and she says, it's true. The only reason why we walked away from that dragon, well, you should have been there to see it. Sir Mallory was astride his griffin, and he charged forward at that beast with all the fury of a raging flame heading towards it. And of course, I was there on my griffin, Uriel Radley astride his, and the three of us came up together in that formation. The formation that we practiced 100 times. The one that's brought down dragons many times before. But that mutated clockwork beast that prowls over that forsaken castle, it was like there was another sense all around it. And it slapped its tail hard against Mallory Grannick's steed, sending him flying through the air. And that was when Uriel Radley himself dove from his griffin, chain in hand, to swoop up and grab our companion. Because we in the Silver Order, we don't turn our backs on each other. We don't betray each other, even in the heat of battle. We don't leave anyone behind. We don't leave anyone to death. No one. We would all give our lives for each other. But we'd be damned if we let each other actually give them.
I mean, I don't think that is any different from our group. We have each other's backs as well. So I don't know what's so amazing about saving your companions. I think what was interesting is we saw, you know, the tail end of that fight, but we saw you run away. Oh, the tail end. We saw you run away from that beast, that dragon that shot you down.
As I recall, there was an attack on Wilhelm during our duel, and it was Veo who sacrificed herself to ensure our great thing stood. And that was in between monsters.
Mallory Grannick smirks and he says, now, don't brag about that too much. I have it on good authority that you've run away from that dragon several times yourselves.
What I will say to that is, that's why we were smart enough to not go after the dragon and to find a monster that we could conquer and did conquer. What I hear from your story, friends, paladins, is that you tried your classic formation and failed. That the two of you barely contributed to the fight. Uriel Radley, as you stated, was the only one, and if it wasn't for him, you would have died. Meanwhile, in our battle, all three of us contributed equally to the slaying of Big Linda. That makes us stronger as a force. The other two barely contributed. You barely escaped that battle by the skin of your teeth, and you fled to find a smaller creature to fight. One whose whole body just fit through that door, barely.
Now,
but we have a head that's almost as big as that roar.
Shakes his head, says, we brought back the whole beast. And you know as well as I do. You know as well as I do, Uriel Radley says, that crater is a greater place of madness than that castle is. You look me in the eye and you tell me that crater is not the most maddening place you've ever been to. Do any of you dare to do it?
I don't need to. It's not about the place you went, it's about the monster you brought back. That's what this Gasconade is about. And yes, these two have been there. Tell them your experience.
My mind was forever changed. Up is down, black is white. You know, I have to think backwards all the time now. I eat with the wrong side of a knife now. I don't know what else to tell you. Like, yeah, but then I carried on. And I did this before the duel, okay? I've been managing, been coping with a lot. After touching that, after seeing that rock in there.
And what happened to you? Did you face down a monster like we did when you were in the crater?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And then we went, and then we survived and went, that's not big enough. I need to go bigger.
And did you slay him?
It ran away. But
So
hey,
you let it get away.
Killing it was not
just
our
like
primary
you get
objective.
Just like you ran away from the dragon. Look, we can there's prizes.
There's a difference. They're bringing up a battle that happened that had nothing to do with this Gasconade, where our objective had nothing to do with slaying a monster in the crater. Had that been our primary objective, it would have been a different story. We're talking about the Gasconade, where you fled from your first monster and faced a second. When the monster fled from us, or from them in the crater, they were there on other business. Fending off the monster was the objective. Therefore, a success.
Uriel Radley says, well, all I'm saying is that if you're trying to belittle the accomplishments of me and my companions, you best look at yourselves a little bit once you've weathered through that storm. What you've defeated is no doubt impressive, but I don't think that you really brave. Like, I don't know if you would have been able to do what we did and make it out alive. I don't know. I don't really believe that the three of you could have gone into that crater and come out with the corpse of that beast. Now, of course, you all brought back a large creature, but didn't necessarily have to go to the most dangerous part of the city to get it. It was big, sure, but I've seen a lot of beasts that are big, but not necessarily dangerous over my time. You know, you can see a lot of big fellas, but you give them one good punch, they got a glass jaw. Maybe it was that beastie of yours looks big, but it wasn't so tough at all.
Well, I think you may say that the crater is the most dangerous place to go in the city. But again, did your monster regenerate itself based on where it was in the city? You had one strike against it from what I'm seeing, and it fell to the ground. Ours we had to kill and move and kill and move and kill and get it to a place where it was able to be slain fully, because the very air that it into it.
Venus Joplin says, so is it really dead then?
It is dead.
Now it is.
It is dead where it lays right there, and I point to it.
But we could not kill it once, not twice, nay, 3 times. We killed it 1,000 times. 1,000 deaths and 1,000
But if you were
resurrections
to
with-
bring it back into the ruins of the city, presumably it would regenerate once more.
Just like any magic can bring back those who are dead. Even the Silver Order has myths in their history that their soldiers would come back from the dead. Magic is, in many ways, can do this to many different cities.
I've
But
seen
there's
it.
always a few trolls in my day, and I know that once you order, they're not coming back, no matter where they are. Perhaps there is some sort of weakness that you haven't discovered with this creature.
I
Who's to
would
say?
argue that we did find the weakness. It was removing the creature from the habitat that regenerates it. That's no different than burning a troll.
Interesting observation. Burning a troll, removing it from its habitat.
Removing
Oh.
its very life essence.
I believe it.
Charging a worm into a giant rock of delirium. That's a weakness. Most of us, I don't think, could survive that.
I believe I've heard enough. I feel that it is time for me and our other judges to retire so that we can make a firm decision amongst ourselves and I can hear from them exactly what they saw. They were there on the field, and I will hear what it then this has been a pleasant gasconade for some of it.
Yeah.
Gasconade!
Wilhelm flexes. It's average.
With that, Venus Joplin, as well as Elias Drexel, Petra, Ophelia Reed, and the other Flamekeeper. Meanwhile,
Okay, no, go ahead.
as the change a certain how take, but what do you do?
If I may, I approach Uriel Radley
Okay.
and I reach out my hand to shake his, and I say, Uriel, excellent job in Drakenheim.
He takes your hand, shakes it. Well done yourself, Your Majesty.
You're quite the monster slayer. Very impressive.
Indeed. Perhaps I underestimated the necessity to talk the talk. I've been more someone that walks the walk, in my belief.
I have rules about that. This was out of my comfort zone as well, Uriel, but I'd say we both did the best we could.
I think so. I will abide whatever the jury decides. I just like to Venus Joplin is quite a lady, but she is only one of 5 votes. So,
Regardless of how this turns out, Uriel, it will be an honor to someday have you by my side in a battle. I think that we could do a lot of good.
I walk up behind you as you
Yeah,
say
I'm coming
this,
up too.
and I say, Uriel, you did a fine job with the worm, but I hope that this shows you that there are bigger, problems to worry about than the past that our 2 nations have had with one another. Sebastian is not the biggest, trouble in everything that's going on in our kingdom.
as Uriel moves to speak, but another figure approaches. The man is a larger man with chubby cheeks, a little bit of a pockmarked dark brown skin, and he is garbed in in the finest Illyrian silks. Rings across all of his fingers, and a thin circlet placed upon his balding brow. As he approaches, another knight of the Silver Order presents, Your Majesty, Wilhelm. von Kessel, may I present to you the Lord Regent, Polonius Reed. And the Lord Regent says, now, I must apologize to you first, Wilhelm von Kessel. We have allowed Uriel Radley and the Silver Order to take you off on a bit of a wild goose chase that is distracted from the vital affairs of state that must happen between our nations. I must be frank with you. Well, Uriel Radley will certainly honor the terms of this agreement. I need to remind you that the results of this duel do not give you the carte blanche to negotiate with Illyria.
I understand that. For me, this duel is to save one of our comrades' lives and to prove to the Silver Order that we are worth the weight of our words. That is all.
Certainly, but you must understand that you have... This has been a complicated factor, and I must apologize to you regarding this. Because, you see, you've been negotiating with 3 people, well, 3 entities, even though not all of them. It's a delicate situation, you must understand, because you've been dealing with the Silver Order on one hand, our faith on another, and Illyria in the third. All 3 of these things are the pillars of our great nation. But they must all have a seat at the table. And I feel like I was very struck by your words that were relayed to me about the lack of my presence at our first meeting. And I wanted to apologize for that personally. And I want you to know that there will be more direct dealings between us in the name of peace.
Lord Regent, it pleases me to hear that, and I look forward to discussing how we can better our nations and deal with the crisis at hand together.
There are several crises, and I would enjoy a good debate with you, Your Majesty, over the exact ways that these crises should be handled. The way that I see it, there are several different decisions that need to be made all together, and they have a way of overlapping one another in ways that perhaps they need not.
I agree. I'm interested in hearing what valuable advice you may have, but I hope you too will honor that I may have something to offer here as well. But before we do jump into these debates, I will be upfront with you that currently in Westamar, I am stepping up to ownership of what I would call a broken home. And I need to do some house cleaning before we really decide how to move forward.
I need you to know that Uriel Radley here and the Divine Matriarch are, well, a bit of a roaring flame to hold back, if you understand my meaning.
I do.
And, well, it's, Westamar has been a wreck for 15 years, and it's starting to affect more than just Westamar. And so, I look at it as an issue that affects all of our nations. And if you aren't able to get your house in order, I want to remind you that we will do what must be done to protect the interests and the people of Illyria.
Lord Regent, I want to remind you that everything you just said align with my goals as well. So having your backing in getting Westamar together could go a long way to align my nation under the idea that this is something that affects the whole continent. We need to work together.
Very well. But if you're going to work with us, you're going to do it our way.
How is that fair? If you're going to work with us, we need to meet in the middle.
Well, I'll be perfectly honest with you. Westamar doesn't have a very good track record right now. And we've seen how your father and your aunt ripped your nation apart. We've seen how it's been largely lawless for the past better half of a decade. And I just want to offer to you that maybe your way isn't working too well.
Rule number 84, Polonius Reed. Do not condemn a person for the sins of their ancestors. What my aunts and uncles and fathers and mothers did to this nation were lessons that I take to heart. I will do better.
With respect, Your Majesty, but did your daddy teach you those rules?
Hey! I grab Wilhelm, give him a big old grab around his shoulder. Now I think it's fair to give this soon-to-be king a shot. He's inherited a broken region. Okay, you've got, this is a place of turmoil. It's not like he developed this. He was handed a scorched earth. This region isn't torn apart by frivolous infighting. It was torn apart by a giant rock from space. He is the one thing that can glue this back together. And I don't doubt for a second that this man right here isn't gonna be the bonding. He is the ability to bring Westamar back to its righteous place. And if you're willing to work with us, we can kill more than just monsters. We can kill the biggest monster of all: indifference.
I mean, I must say, it is a very significant factor for me that House Jackson has decided to throw in with you, King Wilhelm, because, I mean, of course, House Jackson has a very strong reputation for good decisions and rational thought.
Thank you, Polonius Reed. That's the nicest first thing I've ever heard about that.
I turned to Veo and I'm just like, well, Pluto's saying that. I'm like, was that sarcasm?
Yes, 100%.
The mighty House Jackson and Wilhelm von Kessel, the von Kessels and the Jacksons will create a great unity.
I'm very, very certain they will. And I hope that you can understand that is precisely my concern.
I'm going to say this as if I didn't know that he was being sarcastic. I'm like, so Polonius, that it's good to see that you are aware of the position House Jackson has had in every great Caspian war, where their borders have rarely fell. They've defended their nation honorably. And when the time came, House Jackson
Good morning, Tamara.
made up majority of the foot soldiers, the sword and shields, who were at the front lines of those battles. They are a powerful family, and yes, they are aligned with me on this.
This guy knows his history.
I am proficient.
Your ancestors would certainly know the folly of trying to invade Caspia, wouldn't they?
Yes. We should all be allies. Caspia, Westamar, and Illyria.
There's a
We
lot
should
of
all be
people.
working together to make this continent better. And the fact that we are always bickering over divisions and trying to get each other to see things our way. Each nation can be represented in their own way, but there are decisions that need to be made that affect all of us. And when those decisions come to the table, it's in all of our best interests to do what is right.
I completely agree with you. That is in our very best interest to do what is right. Now, let's all agree about what's right.
Well,
Dealing with
we-
delirium.
I think there's something to be said. I don't think we can sort of go back and forth
Yeah,
on this
it's time to
and talk about
pick up my daughter from
What
school,
was
and then I need to
Who
pick up the
killed the
package I will receive.
courtyard of who, but the
It's
point
a
is that
robot
I've
we
been
can
there.
make
I've been to that
from
center
what's
of
it
that
called
meteor,
again?
and
Arduino
we're all,
or something.
in time will get us all in
So
that
that's a
corruption.
project.
Let's not let anyone escape.
I'm gonna
We're-
start with
we're-
today with my kid, I guess.
No.
Running against the clock.
Before you get all apologetic with me, I know there's a process of making a nation. Sometimes you gotta crack a few skulls, and sometimes you gotta burn a few bridges. And this whole little affair that you're all arguing about with Uriel Radley, I'm gonna be perfectly frank with you. I think it's a distraction. I think that, I apologize for it. Arguing over a little red-headed mage and who's gonna be holding on to a little sword, that doesn't get us any closer to actually solving these problems. Now, I'm glad that we can put that all behind us and actually focus on things. What I care about, I will say with you, Wilhelm, I care exactly about the problems that are facing this situation. This whole delirium thing, what's happened in your city, what's happening in your nation, is of grave concern to us. Because, yes, we do have all sorts of folk wanting these stones, wanting these things, bringing them through. Because what's been happening for us, of course, they don't tell you, is you get people coming up on Gabriella's Landing. Well, that's the closest city over to the far continent, over to the lands of Sidonia and the Sixth Empire. And they've been starting to hear about your little pokeballs, and they want them too. And where do they come to first? Gabriella's Landing. That's a concern for me now, because now I got ships coming in with your rocks, and I got caravans coming all across the heartland of Illyria, bringing this stuff so that they can sell it to people who don't care about Illyria. Now, of course, the traders in Illyria, they love all that money. You know, gold shines just like the sacred flame. That's what they say. But I can't have that. I can't have it. It's got to stop.
I agree.
Of course, over time. Yes,
So how are you
people
going to
are-
stop it? That's what I want to know.
It needs to stop at the source. You have no idea what we've discovered about delirium. People bringing it over in ships is the least of your worries. When you think about the long-term effects, it's not just going to be creeping in on ships. It's going to be creeping under the very earth itself. If we don't do something about it, where
Very
we
well.
stand.
And here's the way I see it is I will stand pat on that offer. You want that money? You want my soldiers? You want me to rally up the nobility of Illyria, send an army to back you up? You want that loan? You want that money? I'm here today to tell you it's yours. You want that help? You want that support? You got it. It's going to come with some expectations about how things are going to proceed. You understand?
I understand, and frankly, I don't need your loans. I don't want to be indebted to Illyria. What I think is the obvious thing here that we are beating around, you and I both want to see delirium stopped. Nothing
Okay,
else
let's see
in
if I
this
can find the
offer that Illyria
package.
has made is of concern to me. The fact is that you and I are allies in what we want to do with delirium. Therefore, there's no reason for us to fight or try to persuade each other on how things are going to move forward, and, well, not how things are going to move forward, but who's going to owe who what in the end.
But that's precisely the thing, that we're not talking straight here. Because how
Let's
things
see.
are done
Open the app.
and how they're going to be done is precisely the current concern that I have. I don't disagree with you one lick of anything over what needs to be done. But it's the how.
Well, last I
Wilhelm
heard,
was telling us about your aggressive
The fuck?
plan
Open.
against.
Open package box. Mustafa. Oh, they have different names. Lol. Oh, cool. Let's see here. Play no logi. What?